Hello and welcome to our first EMEA Sun Business Television live broadcast directly from London. My name is Christoph Reisbeck and I'm responsible for the Systems Engineering Organization in EMEA. In addition, I am also responsible for the overall program we will be talking about today. I will lead you through the first part of the show. We will give you an overview of the program and the integration between ES and CS. Then we will talk about the parts of the process that you all will be using. I have with me here Alexandre Vallée, Ramona Krüger, Hans-Jörg Klimetsky from the Excellence Program Office, and Eric van der Scheer from ES. This team will give you an overview of what Excellence at Sun is all about. Later on, we will have Dominic Rowsell and people from the field talking about the individual parts of the process. But first, let's get into the topic. And who is better suited to introduce to all of us the importance of excellence at Sun than Robert Youngjohns, VP Computer Systems EMEA. Let's hear his view on this.
Welcome and thank you for taking the time to attend this training session on our Sales Excellence Program. I'd like to take a couple of minutes to explain why this is so important to Sun and what we're trying to achieve through it. I guess a lot's changed about the way we do business right now. 5 years ago, our relationship with our customers was best described as transactional. They wanted something, we sold it to them, we moved on. But today, the demands of our customers mean that we now have to understand their business much more acutely, and we have to develop a long-term relationship with them. And the professionalism of our sales force is an absolute key to doing this correctly. So that's what this is really all about. It's about improving our skills and improving the professionalism of our sales force. It's vital to us for two reasons. Not only will it make our salespeople much more effective, but I think more importantly, it'll give them a real sense of pride in the development of their jobs and their own motivation and their own professionalism. But what it does need is that you, as managers, take this really seriously. I know that in a sales-driven organization, it's tempting to regard training and training development programs as a bolt-on extra. But the reality is they are the absolute key to our success in the future. You've got to regard this as integral to the way you do your job. It's not something you do at the end of the week when finally you've had the 19th reminder on email as to why you haven't filled the forms in.
Thanks, Robert. Now, after listening to Robert's view, I would like to give you a more detailed view of what Excellence at Sun is. We have here in the studio a team from the Excellence Program Office and Eric van der Scheer from ES, who have been working on this together with an EMEA team from all geos. We'll be able to discuss the project later, but first let's get an overview of the process from Alexandre Vallée, who is managing the Excellence Program Office.
Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, was considered the master of excellence. One of his famous quotations was, "If happiness is actively in accordance with excellence, it is reasonable that it should be in accordance with the highest excellence." And in our work, we are targeting the highest excellence in the Excellence at Sun program in order to achieve the highest level of customer satisfaction and happiness. To enable us to achieve this goal, we have introduced the Excellence at Sun initiative. Excellence at Sun is a people development and performance management process for individual contributors and their managers. In that regard, the program office has the responsibility for driving the overall Excellence at Sun initiative and includes, as of today, several programs addressing the needs of different divisions in Sun: the sales community, SEs, enterprise services, graduates, and in the near future, professional services and partners. Each one of these programs will be detailed by my team and the respective program managers later in this broadcast. The important thing we need to keep in mind is that Excellence at Sun is not about a simple training curriculum. SunU is already providing this service. But it is a state of mind in everything we do on a daily basis to improve existing processes and serve our customers at best. My team has the responsibility for developing what we call the EMEA framework, with help and input directly from the GEO program managers, namely Jan Reed in France, Knut Müller in Germany, Gary Nugent in Xiamen, Pat McCambridge in UK, and Paul Dodecker in Northern Europe. The framework defines the job profiles and roles and the different levels of proficiency. Once the framework is defined, the program office develops the supporting tools, assessment sheets, managers' workbooks, etc., and delivers them to the GEOs. The GEOs can then start the implementation for which they have entire responsibility. A dashboard with the status of the main activities is updated every month to keep track of the GEO's progress.
Thanks, Alexandre. So let's go on a bit into the details of each program. We start with the graduates. Ramona Krüger is coordinating that program for EMEA.
Sun is growing rapidly in the IT industry, and with that growth, we more than ever need new creative minds and enthusiastic people to join our company. In today's already scarce IT employment market, we are faced with very high competition for human resources. As a company, we realize the need to invest into growing our own talents. For this investment, we have developed a twofold approach. For FY01, we aim to have 200 graduates across EMEA. Graduate programs already exist in most countries in EMEA, and they all differ. Our objective for this fiscal is to support the sharing of best practices between those programs. The Excellence.Europe website holds the best practices submitted by the countries for everyone to use, including graduate job descriptions, hiring procedures, training plans, and many more. I do encourage everyone involved in graduate programs to have a look at this page. For FY02, we will be developing an EMEA graduate program with the aim to accelerate our recruitment activity in this area and to further improve the quality of our intake. The EMEA graduate program will be a framework that provides standard tools and processes for hiring and developing graduates in Sun across EMEA with a common approach. The program will synthesize and leverage all efforts of the current graduate programs in all EMEA sales units. The reasons are obvious. As Europe is growing closer together, we need to apply a pan-European approach. That means that we can offer our graduates the same development chances in the individual countries. It also means that we can explore opportunities for graduates who would go on country rotations and undertake country assignments. With increasing globalization, we need individuals with problem-solving skills and communication skills to serve those needs. Additionally, individuals need languages, knowledge and understanding of foreign cultures and mobility. The EMEA graduate program will support these needs. We will also be working with other Sun functions, such as worldwide operations and other Sun regions, like the Americas, who also run graduate schemes, and with whom we can share ideas and best practices. What exactly will the EMEA graduate program look like? We will develop a program architecture consisting of the following items: clearly defined job roles for graduates, recruitment and hiring tools like interview and assessment guides to help managers to select and hire the best, a training and development guide so that managers have assistance in developing a graduate in their team, and roles of managers and mentors so that everyone is clear about objectives and expectations. In order to move from individual programs to an EMEA-wide program, a team has been set up to develop and coordinate the program. The EMEA team members are Louis de Bettigny from HR, Jacques Fichet from SunU, and myself for the program coordination. We will define the program standards and we will promote best practices and learning between the schemes. In summary, our main objectives for the EMEA graduate program are to leverage best practices from the countries, to develop and lay the foundation for an expert network across EMEA with a common approach and a common program in all EMEA geos, to raise Sun's profile in the graduate employment market, and to ensure that we do hire the best.
Thanks, Ramona. That's very interesting. So now we can move on to get an overview of the status of SE Excellence. Here's Hans-Jörg Limetzky, the SE Excellence Program Manager for EMEA.
As SEs, our charter is to use our technical excellence to provide increased value to our customers. As we adopt a more consultative approach to selling, taking into account our growing and changing product line, we need to constantly update and improve our skills and knowledge to provide this value. In this way, we maximize our contribution and help Sun to double the business in 3 years. So the business goals of SE Excellence are to define a process for developing our SEs to be the trusted advisor to our customers, support revenue growth, help SE managers to agree focused and appropriate development actions for their teams, attract and retain the best SEs in the business. So where are we today? We have created an architecture to support a consistent approach to performance and development planning. This architecture has been developed using field input and defines key skills and knowledge required by Sun SEs. The framework is also flexible enough to incorporate new trends and technologies that we or the market are creating. We have job descriptions and accompanying profiles for our SEs, and we have the documents that the manager and the SE will use to agree on development needs and actions. All documents are available on the web, where you will also find a first version of a resource guide, which will help you find the most effective development actions. We have also worked with the other time zones to create a worldwide set of skills and competencies for SE Excellence, which are now finalized. These worldwide definitions will be used by all time zones starting July 1st, the latest. All our documents on the web or in printed form reflect these worldwide definitions. So what are some of the next steps that we want to take? We are developing interview checklists and questions which will help SE managers recruit the best SEs into Sun. We will enhance the resource guide based on your feedback, collaborating with SunU, external partners and other time zones. Some of you might ask why we are using documents and not a tool for all of this. Well, an electronic tool support will be piloted in EMEA during Q1 of FY01 for a proposed rollout in Q2. So what's in it for you as a Sun system engineer or manager? Firstly, a consistent approach to performance and development planning will make it easier to set clear expectations all around. The program will also help to improve professionalism and enable maximization of performance. Setting clear technical and professional standards will help you agree on a personalized development plan. There will be improved access to personal and technical development so that you can enhance your skill set as a trusted advisor to Sun customers. So in summary, the SE Excellence program is completely defined and the process has been implemented. We are currently running on documents, paper or StarOffice, in order to ensure smooth rollout, but we have tool support by Q2 of FY01, thereby running SE Excellence in true eSun fashion. You will see all geos and in effect all time zones running July 1st with one set of worldwide skills. This is a major step forward in the development of our SE force. SE Excellence is the Sun approach to developing people, professionally and technically, better and faster than our competition, so that as part of the sales team, we continue to provide increased value to our customers.
Thanks, Hans-Jörg. We will now hear from Eric van der Scheer, and Eric is responsible for coordinating the rollout of Excellence for ES.
Well, Enterprise Services EMEA has been rolling out the Excellence at Sun program for a couple of months now, and with success. All sales managers and SE managers have been trained to run this program. Also, the sales and pre-sale forces have been informed and have understood the objectives and benefits of the Excellence at Sun. A number of them have done yet the assessment part of the program and are ready to establish and to execute their development plan in collaboration with their manager as soon as they have their goals for the next fiscal. All participants that I met in Enterprise Services EMEA, either sales rep or managers, were really excited about this program, and all of them are conducting it with a high level of involvement and professionalism, even during a period where the pressure of the business is high. In fact, they have quickly become convinced about the objectives and benefits of this program. Firstly, because it's a practical and efficient tool for employment. I mean a way for people to take control of their own destiny and to participate in their job role to their full potential. Secondly, because the spirit of the program fits with our expectation. Through assessment and development plan, the objective is definitively to empower people, to make them learn continuously so as to improve their skills and knowledge in an organized approach. The question is not only how well have we done, but more, how can we do better tomorrow than we did today? And with this upper level of objectives in mind, annual goals will be achieved or overachieved still more easily. Thirdly, the fact that this program is common with computer system with integrated trainings, the integrated program committee in each country, integrated documentation, integrated website coming soon in its integrated version, is a key factor of success. This helps to join CS and ES, and everyone that I met in Enterprise Services EMEA told me that they liked this approach and they were really enthusiastic about it. And fourthly, the strong involvement of management has been helpful to show the importance given to this program. In conclusion, excellence at Sun shows that Sun is not only the IT business or .com business, but also in the people business. And again, this is a key factor of success and perenniality for a company. At Enterprise Services, excellence at Sun has been fully adopted. And in fact, I would say that we are quite accustomed yet to carry these two letters, ES, excellence at Sun.
Thanks, Eric. That describes the integration very well. So we now move on to the sales excellence part. And again, let's hear from Alexandre, who will tell us more about what's happening there.
Firstly, may I just explain that at the moment I'm acting in the sales excellence position, but we have an open rec, which should be filled very soon. So if you are interested in the position, why not send your resume to me at alexandre.valle@sun.com. Now more seriously about the sales excellence. We all know that EMEA's goal is to double the business in 3 years. In order to achieve that, we need to build business-to-business relationships with our major customers. Our sales representatives need to have a good knowledge of our increasingly diverse product range and exemplary high-level business and market skills. The 3 key objectives for sales excellence are: number 1, to provide clear profiles of skills for each sales role. Number 2, to provide opportunities to enhance sales skills and knowledge. And number 3, to simplify and improve career planning and development. The ultimate goal being to deliver the best sales service to our customers and partners. This gives a formal process to managers for assessing their direct reports' skills and knowledge, and provides support to better coach, mentor, and lead their teams. Managers could develop themselves in core competencies such as people management, business management, and personal effectiveness. As a result, this will improve team working, both within divisions and across SMI. There are several potential indicators which we can use to measure our success in sales effectiveness. In each geo, specific metrics may apply, such as number of written performance plans for sales reps and managers, number of written development plans for sales reps and managers, number of active deals and account plans. Measuring at the outset and then again at regular intervals during the implementation will give us the ability to assess whether the behaviors we are trying to develop are indeed being developed. So, where have we got to in the implementation process in the geos? We have finished the managers' trainings in all geos. Individual assessments are in good progress, and starting in July, we will have individual development plans.
Thanks, Alexandre, and thanks for the whole team for their great work. We now move on to the next part in this broadcast, where we will lead you through the individual parts of the process. This will be moderated by Dominic Rowsell, Director of Holden International, who helped train our managers in several geos. Welcome, Dominic, and please tell us about you and your company's involvement in the rollout of the Excellence Program.
Okay, Christoph, thank you. Holden were involved from an early stage in the design of the Sales Excellence Program. We worked very closely with SunU and another consultancy. I delivered the pilot program with Pat McCambridge, and since then I've worked with well over 200 managers from Scotland to Cape Town. In my experience of working with global companies, I have to say this is one of the most complete development programs I've seen to date. Now, the next part of the program is interactive, and we'd like all of you who are out there to take part. You can do this by calling the following number: 44 for the UK, 1753 657 670. In the performance planning meeting, we set 3 types of objective: the business performance, business management, and breakthrough objectives. It's the breakthrough objectives which are of particular interest to us today. We have Michael Sauer joining us by telephone because he can't be with us in London today. Michael, are you there?
Yeah, hello, here's Michael Sauer.
Welcome. First of all, a question to Thierry Motin. Thierry, would like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Thierry Motin. I am an account manager in Sun France, and I'm in charge of one of our largest customers, that is Alcatel in the telecommunication business. And welcome to Michael as well. Hello, Michael.
Yeah, hello.
Okay. Thierry, what is the purpose of a breakthrough objective from the salesperson's or the SE's point of view?
Well, it's an interesting thing that the breakthrough objective could provide a career direction, but also an interesting thing that if you can link personal strengths to your business objectives. Also, what is interesting is you can lift attention of your people far beyond the short term, and that's very interesting too. Personally, I think sometimes we stick too much on the short term, and it provides an opportunity to think beyond the short term, largely. And then also, I think we have a lot of business planning activity, and you can put personal motivation in this activity.
Okay, thank you, Thierry. Some important things there. Michael, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience quickly?
Yes, my name is Michael Sauer. I'm the responsible sales manager here in Germany for the manufacturing and the retail and transportation business.
Okay, thank you. Michael, where should the core idea of a breakthrough objective come from?
Yeah, the core idea is we have to the business is changing, and we have to double our business in the next years, and it's very important that we have a clear key account and as well key channel focus. And to make this happen, we have to break through a new career planning and development method to be successful. That means we have to change the way, or we have to develop and add the way we do presentations by customers, as well to negotiate on the right levels. And all these things are many changings now and in the future to be successful against the competition.
Okay, thank you. Thierry, Another question for you. Why do sales managers or SE managers want to have breakthrough objectives with their team?
Well, of course, as everybody knows, Sun is very successful in its business, and we as managers are responsible to manage that the path to that success. And I think if we help our people, salesperson or SEs, achieve or maybe overachieve the breakthrough objectives, then it brings really new values to Sun.
Okay, thank you. That's a very important part of this. Well, Michael, then, another question for you. What do you see as the challenges to you as managers in creating and developing these breakthrough objectives?
Yeah, the challenging is that we give feedback on regular basis to the account manager and create a development plan to develop these account managers in the future. Today, we do our review on regular basis. Yes, that's fine, but there's no exactly development plan to motivate and keep the account managers for Sun successful. And then it will be a major change in the future that we give feedback on regular basis and that we have a really career and really development plan.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I think Gary Nugent had something he wanted to add from the SE point of view about the challenges for a manager in creating breakthrough objectives. Gary, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Gary Nugent, the Technology Sales Director for Southern Europe, Africa and Middle East. I think the point that I was wanting to make, Dominic, is essentially about linking the breakthrough objectives to the personal aspirations or personal desires of the SE. Essentially what you're looking for is an emotional as well as a physical attachment to that objective, and which will help him maintain that desire through the short term into the longer term.
Okay, thank you. Pat, in terms of this linking emotional and sort of business direction of the objective, how have you seen this working? Because you've been working closely with this.
Yes, I'm Pat McCambridge. I'm the UK Development Manager for the Excellence Programme. Dominic, I've found in my experience that the managers I've worked with have seen breakthrough objectives as one of the key ways that they can actually get to know their people better. It's very useful to think about and talk with your people about what personally motivates them. And I've found in my experience that the managers who work with this programme, when it comes to breakthrough objectives, see that as a really useful addition to their armoury.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. Okay, well, I think what we now need to look at is skills assessment. A very great deal of effort is required to be put into the skills assessment by both managers and salespeople or SEs. Now, that being said, it's still a very difficult and sensitive task. Okay, Gary, what are the pitfalls to watch out for with the skills assessment?
I think the obvious one is to understand it is exactly that. It is a skills assessment, and not to mistake it for a performance review or a performance appraisal, which has a lot to do with the way that the assessment is approached by both the manager and by the employee himself. One of the things that obviously is very key is being honest with yourself in the rating of both of your own understanding of your skills, etc. There are many different levels 1 to 4 for each skill, and the more important thing to understand is that it's not necessary to do your job to be proficient in every level at the highest degree. And therefore that's not what we're looking for. This also really is the precursor to the development phase, and therefore the accuracy of it is vitally important.
Okay, thank you. There's some very important changes there, I think, in the way the skills assessment is viewed then. I'd just like to remind people, if you're listening, the telephone number to call in is 44 for the UK, 1753 657 670. There are people waiting to take your calls, and it's an open forum here for us to discuss. Okay, still on the skills assessment. Thierry, what are the key messages which your direct reports need to understand about a skills assessment?
Well, Gary talked about levels, and maybe people are not very confident with the story of levels. And what I I should tell to the people is that you are not obliged necessarily to, in your skill assessment work, to have all your cross on the right side on level 4. I mean, if the job requires level 1 and you are level 4, maybe you may need some development, as well as people in the reverse situation that is a job requiring a level 4 and that is after the skill assessment still in the level 1 column. So second important thing is that if you consider it's a touchy or feely exercise, then I think better stick to a clear and real example to conduct this exercise. I mean, it's just something that you conduct theoretically. It's just exchanging with your manager clear example about the different topics in the skill assessment.
Okay. Thank you, Thierry. Thank you. Gary, back to you again. There's a lot of effort required to do these skills assessments by both the salespeople, the SEs and the management. What's in it for Sun to invest all this time?
For Sun? Well, really it's about conducting an audit, if you like, of the human capital asset that we have within the company. I know that the accountants are not allowed to put this down on the books anywhere, but I think everybody knows and understands that it's the skills, it's the people that work for Sun Microsystems that make the success, not necessarily the products themselves. And therefore, really, this is about Sun gaining an understanding of that human capital asset and where we stand today.
Okay, thank you. It's a good insight. Thierry, back to you. What's in it for the salespeople and the SEs then to put in all this effort and this time?
Well, you can guess in the old days. I mean, traditionally, you get your goal and then you go, you start the new fiscal year, and along the road you discover maybe you have skill deficiencies, and maybe it's too late. So it produces maybe job dissatisfaction and maybe less earnings, and it's not good for everybody, I mean. So now we identified before the possible areas where you have to develop with inside your team, and then you are better prepared for the different step. I mean, monthly, quarterly, and even for the reviews, and you are better prepared, of course, to face the possible issues along the road, and when you face difficulty at your customer day-to-day business.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I'd like to bring in Jacques Fichet now. Jacques, perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Jacques Fichet. I'm a field training manager for Europe. Thank you, Dominic.
Okay. Jacques, question for you on skills assessment. What do you see as the major differences between skills assessment in sales excellence and similar systems you'll have seen in the past?
In fact, I think for the first time in my life, I saw something which is really formal and developed by Sun. I think the formalism that we put to create the links between the business and the individual development, I think is really important for that. And most of the time we see no clear messages behind any development program. It's not really. This is really the first time that we see a real link between the business improvement and individual development.
Okay, thank you. Okay, skills assessment there, a key part of the process, and as we said earlier, one of the most sensitive and difficult to deal with. Let's now look at the actual development planning. Traditionally, development planning has meant training courses when salespeople or SEs have got time to spare, rather as Robert alluded to earlier. Now, in the world of sales excellence, development planning is a very different approach. Okay, development planning. Pat, what is so important about the development planning phase?
Well, Dominic, I think planning development is a natural consequence of the skills assessment. That's the first thing to say. It's an opportunity for salespeople, for SEs to work with their managers to get some action in place. That's the really important thing for me, and the managers I work with tell me that it's turning the good discussion that they've had about skills assessment, when that's been done honestly and people have put a lot of effort into it, they find that the plan that comes out of that will actually make a real improvement to performance. And I guess that's what we're after. I've yet to meet the salesperson that doesn't want that to happen. So that's why I think it's an extremely important part of the process to put some effort into planning the development as a result of the skills assessment.
So are you saying, Pat, going back to what Gary said earlier about a human capital audit, it enables individuals to have an audit of themselves and know what their worth is as a salesperson or as an SE?
I think that's a very important part of it, because to me the watchword in this is honesty as well. It's when people approach this honestly and positively that they get a great deal out of it. I think that's one of the benefits of the programme. Certainly the managers I speak with say that when that's in place, they really find it a valuable process.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Interesting the strength required for the honesty there.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Jacques. The development plan. It's quite a large part of the process. It also requires yet more effort. How does the development plan help Sun? How do all these individual development plans contribute to a better Sun Microsystems?
In fact, as I said, this is really the first time we have a real link between the business development and the individual development as well, and it helps also to answer some managers who always claim that they don't really have time to develop their people or to focus on training or whatever. And because we have now this clear link between business improvement and individual development, we can tell them, okay, if you don't develop your individuals or if you don't develop yourself, in fact, you won't be able to reach your objectives and match your objectives that you define at the beginning of fiscal year. And in fact, the real benefits for Sun also is to demonstrate to our customers the focus that we want to put on our people, and so that we become more or less a learning organization, and we are more and more respected by our customers, not only for the quality of our products, but also for the quality of the people that we are employing to sell our products.
That's important. Thank you for that. I think one of the things I heard there was this very key message that there is now a direct link between education, coaching, development, and improved business.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's an important point, Pat. If I go back to you, how do you think the salespeople and the SEs should view their own development plan? What should it mean to them?
I'd like to see people think of it as an investment in themselves. It's in a sense, it's a visible commitment that Sun is investing in their future. And also, I guess, it makes everybody more marketable. I think as the business change, Jack was alluding to that earlier on, people need to maintain their value. And if we don't do this, development planning and follow through, then I think that diminishes. So I'd like to see the salespeople and SEs in the organisation see this as a very positive move that's about investment in them as individuals.
Could you say it makes them more employable?
I think that's a good way to sum it up.
Excellent. Gary, you want to add something here?
Yeah, there was one of the things I wanted to emphasise as well about the development planning is that to look beyond the idea of that all development is a training course or all development is a classroom-led instructor course. The beauty of the skills assessment, etc., is that you now have an understanding really of to perform the job that you're required to do. You understand where potentially the gaps are, and that to use all of the available mechanisms there are to develop yourself. They can be on-the-job training, they can be reading literature, involving yourself in something which is external to Sun, but anything which will develop that skill. And really it relies then upon the manager to observe the change in that behaviour and to observe the improvement.
Okay, that's a good point. Perhaps I can take that over to Jacques. Where can salespeople and SEs go for guidance on how to build their development plan apart from their manager?
In fact, as part of the Excellence Program, the team developed a resource guide where they can find some ideas on the way to develop the individual. So in fact, it's a document that you can use as a reference as Gary said, not only to find references to courses that SunU is organizing, but also link or ideas about special assignment, special reading material, or a special coaching action that a manager can take. So in fact, I think one of the key elements within the excellence program is the resource guide, because after you've done the review with your manager and define your development plan, you can source from this resource guide some ideas on the way to develop specific skills.
Okay, and Pat, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I wanted to add just one thing. I think it's a very important point that the managers I've worked with in the UK have suggested that this resource guide should in fact be a living document. It shouldn't be something that we should be building on the best practice which is out there in our organisation right now, and that's something that I'd like to see as we develop the programme, so that we capture the good ideas and make them available to the rest of the people in Sun.
Okay, that's an important point there. I just want to recap on the telephone number there for people calling in. It's 44 for the UK, 1753 657 670. One of the things might be, perhaps you'd like to add, is where could they find the resource guide or a copy of it? How do they access it?
Well, on the Excellence at Sun website, excellence.europe, the resource guide is available and available now.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you. The next step in the process is the review process. Sales excellence will have an impact on Sun sales culture, which, as Pat said, it means it's an ongoing thing. So we're not so much going to do it, we're going to live it. The review process is how we breathe life into this. Gary, back to you. When you were a young SE, what were your experiences of your annual reviews? Be honest.
A young SE, if I can remember that far back. Well, in some instances, the case was, did a review actually take place, which was not uncommon, to be honest. I think the other thing I found was that whilst the discussion was very constructive, what we didn't find was any kind of consistency and follow-up after the fact to see whether what we had discussed in the meeting we had taken forward, we put actions in place, and that in fact we did something about it. Certainly not for the next year, shall we say, until it came round. I would say those are my main recollections.
Not a very positive recollection then?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, I'll put it over to Pat then. Pat, what's the difference then between the reviews in sales excellence and the kind of thing we've just heard Gary talking about?
Well, I can sympathise, I guess, with Gary first of all, because a number of people will probably have had the same experience, and I guess the difference for me is that I'm hoping that the Excellence Programme puts the review in some context for people. It puts the review as part of an ongoing development process. It's not something that comes up in the calendar unexpectedly a few days before you're meant to do it. So that's the key difference for me, that reviewing performance on the job and reviewing the development plan is part of an ongoing process. It's the whole thing that works together. And I think that's one of the key elements to me that will make this work.
Okay, thank you on that. Well, Gary, this is now more of a formal process. How often do you believe reviews should take place?
Well, I think our opinion is at least quarterly. I think I would like to pick up on the use of the word formal. It doesn't necessarily have to be formal in that sense. I mean, these can be relaxed discussions between a manager and the employee to try and understand how things are progressing. Are we meeting the objectives that we've set down in the development plan? Are there any roadblocks, and what do we have to do to overcome them? I would say that some people will need more coaching than others, and therefore it's not something that we would put a fixed hard frequency upon.
Okay, thank you. Just to add on to that, what are the skills you think the managers are going to have to fine-tune to be able to do these reviews well now?
To do the reviews?
Yes.
I think is really the ability to link the gaps that have been pointed out in the skills assessment, to understand the development plan and what are the available development mechanisms that there are in place, and then really to give the individual the opportunity to actually do that and work with them to do that. The skills really is really one about pulling it all together and making sure that the individual, the employee, understands the context around why we're doing this.
Okay, well that brings us sort of naturally to my next question I'll put to Pat, is we've got all these reviews, and I think the experiences that Gary related just then, historically they tend to be rather an end in themselves. There's no continuity. What can the salespeople or the SE do with the output of a review themselves?
Well, this is where I think it feeds very naturally into the first part of the programme where we started at performance planning. We can take the output from those reviews and simply feed them in to the next cycle, as it were, of performance and development planning. And I think once that process starts to embed itself within the organisation, people will see that reviews are in fact not the rather unfortunate experience that some people have of them. In fact, they are a necessary part of closing the cycle and starting off once again, because as you said earlier, Dominic, this is not something that we get done and then we stop. This is part of something that really defines the way we do things at Sun.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Well, I'd like to take it a little bit further then. I've opened it to the panel here. How can a salesperson or an SE prepare themselves well for a review?
Shall I take that?
Yeah, please, Gary.
I think that, I mean, obviously, this is one of the beauties of the programme, is it does give you context for the discussion. And really, it's to look at the development plan that you put in place and to ask yourself, can you really demonstrate that you've shown an improvement in a given skill area or a given area of your business acumen? And really that's the way we would like to look at it, I feel, is that it is about observing the behaviour, observing the change, managing your own development, I feel. And really, so going into the preparation with that frame of mind in that context.
Okay, thank you very much on that. Okay, now we've seen sales excellence in detail, let's look at what the future holds. Alexandra Vallée will now explain what is planned with sales excellence.
We have a great start in sales and SE excellence, and will continue to drive a high-quality implementation in the geos with the program managers. Our graduate program is getting great support, and we will be hiring 120 people through that initiative in the next fiscal year. For the next steps, we will be focusing on expanding the program to other divisions in Sun. Our vision is to reach excellence in everything we do to serve our customers. Enterprise services have already started great work in the sales area. Professional services expressed a great interest in taking part in the program. We have requests from several other divisions, including marketing, to help them jumpstart their own excellence program. Since I started with a quote from Aristotle, I would like to leave you with another quote. And this is, "Give me a lever long enough, and single-handed I will move the world."
Okay, what I'd like to look at now is some, if you like, personal experiences of making this, this whole concept work. Thierry, you've already been using the Sales Excellence Programme. Tell us a little bit about the good sides of this and some of the difficulties that you faced.
If we start from the skills assessment, my advice would be that it shouldn't be something very scholar. I mean, what I learned from the exercise was that you need to learn from your manager, and your manager need to learn from you. And it's a very unique moment where two people try to listen to each other, and I think it's in both ways, since in this business we don't very often have time to listen to each other and to learn about what is the perception of what you've done during the quarter, during the months, or in a special customer visit, so you get feedbacks. And I encourage every salesperson to give also feedbacks to the perception you have. Sometimes it's of course difficult to say that, but if in this skill assessment it may pop up very friendly and emotional, climax. So you can I think learn a lot in both sides from you yourself and from your manager too.
Okay, thank you. Gary?
I think probably one of the observations that I have made is that a very important aspect of this from a manager's perspective is really to look at the job profile of the individual that he's having a discussion with. And because what this really does is it lays down to the employee, shall we say, a framework of saying these are the skills that I expect you to have to be able to perform this job to a level of competence. And then really, if that is done accurately and that's done well, the skills assessment, the development plan and everything follows on quite naturally from that. And therefore I think that's a key element to the process, is the manager to get the job profile correct.
Okay, thank you. And Pat?
Yeah, I would echo that as well, Gary. I think it is important for managers to think very carefully about the nature of the jobs that they're asking the people in their team to do, and given the frameworks of the Excellence Programme, I think it gives them a tremendous structure to be good coaches, which is really what I think we want our managers to be. And interestingly, Dominic, one of the things I noticed in working with some managers in the UK was that particularly for new managers, this programme gives them a very useful, lightweight process to get to know their teams very quickly. Whether that's managers who've joined us from other organisations or people maybe recently promoted into a management role, they found that programme very useful. And again, I think it's about attitude, isn't it? It's about adopting a positive attitude to any programmes like this and seeing them for the strengths that they deliver to the organisation.
Okay, thank you. Gary?
I would just like to pick up on something, the last point that Pat made. I went out for a meal last evening with an old friend of mine who is an SE director for one of our competitors in the UK. And we were having the discussion about careers and managing them, etc. And one of the things that we continually hear from people is we don't have time to do this. We don't have time to manage this. And what we both fundamentally agreed is that the people who do take time to manage this are the most effective people we have in our organisation. And therefore, it's such an invaluable process.
Well, that you've brought me on to my last question. It's open to you three. What would you say to the salesperson or the SE who says, I'm so busy fighting fires and running around in circles, I don't have time to fill in any more forms? What do you say to them? Thierry?
Well, take the control of your life back. So take the time, put your pen and go to your manager's office and open up the discussion. No, I mean close question, but open discussion, and it may happen. And maybe sometimes go out of your manager's office, bring him to, let's say, lunch or whatever, and it could happen. But let the chance to that kind of conversation, discussion happen. If you don't let any chance for that to happen, then you know what.
Okay, Gary?
Well, time management and priority setting is one of the sales skills associated. So I would suggest that first of all you mark yourself your skills assessment appropriately. It's about priorities. At the end of the day, I'm sure we all have it. I start the morning maybe with 10 things that I want to do, and at the end of the day, 3 of them I haven't achieved. And the key to success is to make sure the 3 were the 3 least important things that had to be done. And really about raising this whole management of your development within Sun Microsystems and your priority stakes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo that too, Dominic. I think it's important that people remember that they always have a choice. Even when it feels like you don't, you always do. And I would encourage people to make the time to get engaged with this programme, because I think they will definitely reap the rewards.
Okay, well, thank you. Excellent advice. That brings us to the end of our section. Now I'd like to hand you back to Christoph.
Thank you very much, Dominic, and thank you that you helped me on that session. I think it was a very good session. Okay, and thanks to the whole team. I think that gave a wonderful overview of the whole Excellence at Sun program. It's really an SMI approach, and it's linked into other worldwide initiatives as well. As Robert pointed out in the beginning, the whole company needs to change. This will happen through the change of the organization and the individual people. Excellence at Sun will help you to develop the necessary skills and build the knowledge. We need to focus on high quality in all we do to ensure customer orientation and customer satisfaction. Just to remind you, this is the first quarter ever we exceeded $1 billion revenue in EMEA in one single quarter. To be able to continue this aggressive growth, we need you to get a little bit better every single day. Excellence at Sun will support this process. Please support your local implementation teams. As I said in the beginning, this is a first live Sun BTV broadcast from EMEA. If you would like to send me your feedback, and I'm very interested about that, please use my email address, christoph.reisbeck@Germany. Thanks for your participation, and I hope I will meet you again on another Sun BTV broadcast soon. Have a nice day and goodbye.